All right, let's talk about the thing that most Webflow developers starting out generally want to be talking about, and that is pricing, proposals, and closing deals. This, guys, is a huge deal. Being able to do this step and do the step well, do it consistently, and having a system and a process for this is something I'm always working on and trying to improve. I'm going to show you where I've got so far, but to be honest, I actually want to improve it a lot more than what it currently is. But what I'm going to share with you is what I've learned from selling over $500,000 worth of websites. That's over $500,000 worth of website sales that I've closed, which is probably 1,000 plus sales calls and lots and lots and lots of hundreds of proposals, right? So I can definitely share from my experience, and I'm going to be sharing with you what I do. But a lot of it, guys, is not just going to come down to like, hey, here's a template, use this. A lot of it's going to come down to like your genuine care for people, really coming across with a certain level of competence. And that level of competence is not something that's faked. That's come from, experience and knowing what you're talking about, which comes from obviously just jumping into projects and learning. I don't fake things. The best policy I've found is just transparency, and it goes a lot further. So I'm going to walk through that though. What we'll cover in this module is going to be how I discovered our pricing model. Doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, but how I discovered ours, our quote calculator, which is unbelievable, which you'll be able to grab a copy of that yourself as well, and our pitch process, which I'm curious to know about it myself. So let's jump in. Our first step is how I discovered our pricing model. Firstly, when running an agency, I'm working with contractors. Everyone has different rates and expectations, and you've got to, at the end of the day, what's left over in the bank? I've got to pay myself, my salary and my wage. My business pays me. And then what's left in the bank? That's the real question, right? Is there profit left over in the business? Because you need profit to reinvest in the business to be able to move the business forward. I know a lot of people in the design and Webflow space are talking about, don't sell your time, etc. However, at the end of the day, as a business owner, if you're employing other people, you care a lot about time, basically, right? Because that's really what you're having to measure and track in the business. Now, that's why when using our checklist and our project management system, that is a huge part of why we track absolutely everything for each project. You've got to not just your time, but managing, how much did this cost? How much time went into this? How much energy went into this project? That's another really interesting one. For example, there's projects I've worked on where maybe it wasn't that much time, but the energy, like the pain of that project, right? So being able to document and measure those things better help me understand about what I wanted to charge for things. Not what I should charge, but this is what I'm happy to charge. And that was a real key thing, is that it wasn't, it was less about comparing myself to other people and, I want to, make $20,000 a month. It was just, what do I want to charge for this? What am I happy to charge for this? Lends itself to better understanding, knowing your business costs. What are you spending each month on software? What are you spending each month in terms of your own time in the business? These are metrics that are super important to wrap your head around. How much do you have to pay in taxes? I don't know about you, but in Australia, it's brutal. And we pay a lot in taxes. I'm talking like 40% plus is taxed. And it's just, it's so painful every time we get those tax bills. I got a tax bill 2 or 3 days ago for $7,000, and the next one's going to be even bigger. Like, it's just so painful. But whenever I'm quoting for projects, I have to keep that in mind that, okay, this might be a $10,000 project, right? I'm accounting for X amount is going to be gone in tax. I'm estimating that it's going to cost this much for my team to build. It's going to be 60 to 100 hours for this to be built. That's going to cost me X amount. What's going to be left? Can we make sure that the project managers pay? Can we make sure? So all those calculations are really, really important to be able to know whether this machine is going to be able to help you make money or not. And something that I didn't actually add to that, but knowing your business costs, one thing that helped me do that was I actually documented every single step that I'm actually doing in my business. In fact, I can show you what it looked like because it's pretty crazy. And I don't think people realize how nuts it is. If you have a look at here, we can see my delegation board. So this here, and I haven't updated this in a while, actually. A lot of these have been delegated, which is super exciting. But we've got account management, process and systems development, team management, Webflow Development Basic, Webflow Development Advanced, human resources hiring, project management, sales, JavaScript support, marketing outreach, support manager, website and SEO strategy, graphic design, admin, finance, social media growth, team training. And I'm doing all of these roles in the business. So what I started to do was look at all the roles that I'm doing, how much time and energy and investment am I putting into each of these? And then what is it going to cost me to pay someone else to do this? So I started to create those calculations, bake them into a build. So, okay, if on average I discovered that if someone is doing the Webflow development, I spend roughly 10%, like if they spend 100 hours, I roughly spend 10 hours project managing that. Okay, so I've got to put aside 10% of the project to cover the project manager. And let's call it 15% to just make sure in case there's kind of, we need wiggle room. When I would then cost a project, I wasn't just throwing out some arbitrary numbers. I was like, well, it's going to take this amount of time. And for this amount of time, I know I want to be paid about this much money. Plus, there's going to be a little bit more usually. So I'm going to add 20% wiggle room. Plus, I need to make sure that a project manager gets paid for this, unless I'm project managing and Webflow developing. So I'm going to pay myself the project management salary, and I'm going to pay myself so that's kind of the strategy behind that, right? Then lastly, what do my customers want? Like this is something that I see a lot in the Webflow community that people, when it comes to discovering your pricing model, I hear a lot of people that are very me focused and not really thinking about the fact that you're dealing with other human beings that have their own businesses that are trying to serve people as well. So when it comes to my pricing, I'm really trying to consider what the people that we're partnering with are going to be happy to pay. And if it's lower than what I want to charge, I start asking questions. How can I create more efficiency so that I can charge what I know people are wanting to pay, right? So finding that sweet spot. And so what that has actually led me to is our quote calculator. So as you can see here, this is currently all the quotes that we have that have been sent out that are still pending. It's a total of $94,980 worth of quotes that have been sent out in the recent weeks and months that we're following up. And some of these will be cancelled. Maybe half of these won't even come to fruition. Something else to be aware of, that when you're quoting for projects, not all of them end up being projects, right? So you want to be as efficient as possible when it comes to quoting, which is where our quote calculator is so useful. Let's open this one up here. Beautiful. As you can see here, this is our quote calculator. We're constantly adding to it and tweaking and changing it. But let me walk you through how it works. We've actually got a bunch of hidden numbers and rates in here. And again, you'll be able to get access to this. I'll also connect you directly with the person that helped us build this. So if you need support and tweaking and changing, you can directly work with someone to help make this better. All I ask is please treat him super nicely. He's incredible. And please don't try to drill him down on pricing. I don't want a bunch of people contacting him and trying to get him to do stuff for peanuts. He's been super lovely with us, and I really respect his work. He's been incredible. So in the back end of this calculator, we've got all of our rates for all the different variations of pages, e-commerce, whether it's got SEO migrations, whether it's got, static CMS, integrations, migrations, e-commerce, et cetera, right? So, however, this is hidden, and the quote calculator just pulls all that data in. So what it essentially does is if we have, let's say, all of these at the moment are static basic, but if we remove them, you'll notice that the rest of the static basic pages adjust in price. So this is now $630, but if we add this, they're all static basic at $540. So every time you add something that repeats, it kind of tapers off the cost, if that makes sense. Because if we're repeating pages, then we're going to be like duplicating stuff. It creates efficiencies for us. So the cheapest website for us is if you just replicate, the same template over and over again. It's super, drives the cost down. But basically all we do is click, this is static, advanced, or super basic, right? Basic, advanced, complex, right? So we just look at the design and we go through each page and say, this is going to be this. The home page is, it's not too bad. We'll call that an advanced page. The solutions page, this is going to be super basic, right? So instead of having to, customize it, it's just like drop downs, click, 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 click. And we've got what's included in the project. Down here, what's included, basic contact page, thank you page. Again, this is already in there though, right? So we're not having to type this up every time. The only things that we type are the page names. And then we just use these drop downs and then it automatically calculates it all, boom, it shows the discounted price from the tapering off when things are, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're duplicating page types, right? We've even got a drop down here which you can pick the currency, right? And it automatically changes the conversion, the rate for it. But once we have that, right, that's the quoting calculator. Probably a little complex, but in short, just what it is one template we use for every project. We use make.com to auto-populate this from the quote template in here. So as soon as we have created a quote from our dashboard, it automatically duplicates this template. It adds the name of the project, it adds the client, and then we just simply come in, fill out the information, and then send it to the client. It's a little bit different when we are working directly with a business. That's different. And I'm going to share with you the difference in that when we go into our pitch process. But this here is a game changer to streamline your quoting process. I would highly recommend not doing it custom every time, but just having a template that you work with every single time that includes the things that you have in all your websites. This brings me to our pitch process. What's going to be helpful with this step for you is I'm going to give you something that's really, really basic, right? And this has just been the most efficient model that I've worked with for quite some time now. It could be way better, and it's something that I want to work on in the near future. But our pitch process, we're going to go through 4 main points here and with a bit of a pro tip. In short, there's 2 really important distinctions. One, we have our agency partners, which that's a different process to when we're working directly with a business, because with our agency partners, we've essentially already pitched ourselves. We have proven ourselves to those agencies. We've got a super transparent pricing model, and they understand how it works. Here's our price. Done. If we need to adjust it, we jump on a call, we work it out, and we help them, figure out the price that's going to make sure that everyone's happy, right? However, when we're working directly with a business, there's a few other things going on. We don't have that trust necessarily built yet, and there's a lot more questions that need to be asked about the project because we're not working with someone that's established who's part of our system that understands all the steps. So we've got to work out a few more things. So here's our 3-step process. Number 1, we have an intro call. I'll walk you through what we do direct to business, because with agencies, it's easy. They request a quote through our dashboard. We punch it into the calculator and we send it back. And then that's pretty much the extent of it. But the pitch process when it comes to working directly with businesses is that we have our intro call. The intro call is a 10-20 minute call where we just kind of figure out, hey, what are you guys about? What are you looking for? Why have you reached out to us? What are the pain points that you're struggling with? What do you want to avoid? What are we moving towards? Like, what's the goals of this project? And sometimes I even explicitly say, look, other than money, right? Obviously, Everyone wants the cheapest we'd love it if this was $1, right? But other than money, because we have our costs in our pricing, other than money, what would really help you make a decision on this project? Or what are the things that you're really looking to achieve that would make you want to jump into this with us? Just being super explicit about like, what is it that you're really looking for here? On that intro call, we're just wanting to really understand, is this potentially a really good fit for us? We're taking notes, and I'm feeding that back to them saying, okay, what I'm hearing you say is you've got this problem. You don't want your IT department focused on building the website. You want them focused on developing software. And so that's why you've reached out to us, because you want someone else that is professional at Webflow and not your IT department potentially messing it up and wasting all their time on doing that. Yeah, cool. So constantly making sure that I actually understand what they're wanting, right? It's not about closing a deal. It's about finding out whether we can actually help them. If it seems like we can really help these people, I say, look, this sounds like it's something that we could really help you with. And before we can kind of give you a detailed quote, we do need to jump on a call. This is one key thing though, and I didn't actually add this here, but I'll add this now, is that on that intro call, I like to give a ballpark. So what I would normally say is, so when we get to the end of this, I say, look, is there any kind of budget that you're ideally wanting to keep this inside? If they say no, I'll say, well, look, if I say this is a $2,000 to $5,000 project, a $5,000 to $10,000 project, or a $15,000 to $20,000 project, which bucket do you feel like you guys would probably fall in? Guys, that there is a golden question that really helps figure out where they're sitting if they don't really understand their budget. If they still say, look, I don't know, I would then say something along the lines of, look, well, just so you know, my gut is telling me this is probably going to fall within the range of 8 to 12,000. Does that make sense? Is that something that you'd be willing to look at? Because our next call is where we're going to get into the details about the project and really find out, what's involved, so we can put together a custom proposal and quote for you to make sure that you've got a detailed, transparent quote and understand everything that's going to be involved with the project. If they're like, oh, I don't know if that's the right budget, I'll say, well, look, it might not be a right fit for us. I've got some great people that I can refer you to that work with different budgets, etc. Easy. If they say, yeah, look, that sounds like it could be fine, great, we book in the discovery call. Now, the discovery call is where we just go a bit deeper into, okay, let's look at what this relationship is actually going to look like if we actually do this project together. So let's say it's a 20-page website. First of all, we have to work that out. How many pages? Okay, well, your existing website, does that have any SEO traffic? It's really discovering everything about the website. And that really is, in this case, let's assume they have design. You've got the design. So on the discovery call, you're looking through the design together. You want to find out what moves, what integrates and interacts, basically. So what's moving, what's interacting, and what's integrating. They're really the key things. And then the external thing is like, do you have existing website traffic? They're really the key things which are going to largely impact the price of the project, because if they have an integration, it could be super complex and you get to the end of the project and they're like, oh, by the way, how's this going to integrate with our CRM? Ooh. And then traffic, you launch the site and then suddenly all of their website traffic dries up. Ooh, right? So you need to know those things at the start and add those to the pricing calculator. When it comes to after the discovery, you'll say, look, this is all sounding great. Let me get together like a detailed proposal and what's going to be a good time for you in the next few days for us to jump on and walk through that together. Oh, look, can you just send it through? Oh, look, with our proposals, it's really important that we are on a call together and that we go through it, discuss it so we can answer any questions. It saves us the back and forth. It will really make the process a lot smoother for us to just go through it in detail. At this point, if they're not wanting to jump onto a proposal, for me, that's not ideal. And I'll talk about that why in a second. people that just want quotes and send stuff out, I'm not really, that kind of puts me off, because I'm like, look, I'm just competing against other, they're just looking for pricing, right? Where we're looking for people that are wanting a really superior service. They're looking for something premium in terms of, again, service, expertise, knowledge. And we want to know what those things are so that we can deliver those things, which is going to be our point of difference against just a bunch of prices from other Webflow developers. So number 2 is never send proposals. We never, ever, ever send proposals. I don't just let it sit in someone's inbox. If we've got a proposal, if you want to know what that proposal is, we're going to jump on and we're going to propose it. We're going to have a video call and we're going to walk through every single step. Here are all the things. And when we jump on that call, here are all the things that we want to do. Here's the things that we're trying to achieve together. And reiterate, this is the goal of this project. Here's why we're doing this. You're looking for an SEO specialist. You're looking for someone that knows about this, knows about that. And we want a custom CMS that's going to support your team to further their marketing. In order for us to achieve those goals, we're going to need this many pages. We're going to need this many CMS pages, this many static pages. We're going to need this integration. Here's the price breakdown. And this is the price for doing that. Now, we can do it like that, right? Or this comes to the number 3, always give options. So yes, that's the price, right? If the all-in package, right? This is if we do everything like that. If you don't care about that integration, or if you don't think we need page XYZ, we can do it for this price, right? So you've got those 2 options. Give them the flexibility, or you can say, if like cash flow is, if that's a bit much to just fork out, that much money up front, we can do a payment plan where we do 25% over 4 months. And then at the end of the 4 months, we'll give you the keys to the workspace, right? Or something like that. But either way, just make sure that they have payment options and not just, this is the price, 100% pay it all or leave it. Like, you've got to be flexible with that. The last one is, don't make it pretty, make it make sense. Everything, every line item, when we walk through a quote with someone, it comes back to the goals of the project. It comes back to what they're trying to achieve. It's not just like, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Our proposals are literally just jumping on and walking through the quote calculator. I know that's crazy because a lot of people have fancy, proposals and stuff. Look, it's me. I understand what you're looking for, and here's the things that we need to do to achieve it. Some things that can be really helpful in getting that over the line on that proposal call and that discovery call is showing examples of projects that you've done, which are similar to that. So yeah, cool. I can see you had this problem here with like SEO migration. That's like this project where they had 100 pages. We had this huge SEO migration, and here's how we help them do that. And that's what we want to do for this project. So it's just about making it make sense. It's not some pretty thing. It's just like, will this work? Yes or no? Let's go. I just spent $6,000 on some email marketing with someone that just had like an A4 piece of paper and just, that's it. Right. So it's not, for me, it's just like, doesn't make sense. Yes or no. Now, pro tip, when it comes to the sales process and the pitch process, a lot of this starts actually from the inquiry. When someone inquires, if you take for ages to get back to them or super slow to respond, you already got a red flag against your name. Respond I respond to inquiry. If I see an inquiry come through, I don't care if it's 10 p.m. at night, bang, I respond to that immediately. I almost never wait to respond to an inquiry about a website project. Bang, I'm on it. If there's a phone number in their email, I'm calling that phone number straight away. I don't care where they are in the world. If it's late, if it's early, if they've just sent me an email, bang. Hey, I just got your email. I'd love to chat with you. What you got, why'd you get in touch? Great. Let's book a time. I'm going to send through a link for us to book a time. insanely fast. This impacts the sale because they see that you take it seriously. They can see that you care and that you're on top of it. You're not like the majority of people, which are, yeah, like, I'm out of the office. I'll get back to you next week. Right? Whew. We don't want that. So that, my friends, is what I've learned from selling $500,000 of websites. The pitch, the pricing, the proposals, getting deals over the line, make it easy for people, really care about helping them achieve the outcome, be transparent. If you're not sure about something, I still say, look, I don't actually know how to do this thing, but myself and my team will figure it out. We've done XYZ before, or look, before I propose this, just give me a day. I just want to do some research to find out some more about that before I include that in our project. It's totally fine to be completely transparent about where you're at in your journey. I've been selling Webflow websites for $10,000, $20,000 for years before I was at this level, $5,000 for whatever it is, right? The point was, and very often there was nothing special or fancy. It was just like they could tell that I was committed and passionate and excited about their project and helping them achieve the outcome that they wanted to achieve. And I always did absolutely everything in my ability, even if I lost money on projects, even if I ended up having to pay out of my pocket for something, I still did it because that was the level of commitment. And people can tell that when you're on a call with them, right? That this person's genuinely showing up to want to help me. One last thing I would like to leave you with is that 50%, but I mean, if you're really good at what you do and if you've got a really dialed in offer, maybe you'll close 40 to 60%. Like, that would be crazy. But in terms of the amount of inquiries, I expect 1 to 2 out of 10 end up, let's just say 1 out of 10 inquiries end up being a project. 1 in 4 quotes end up being a paid project. These are important numbers to know. You don't want to get attached to projects and think, it's going to just get the next project in the door, get the next quote out there. Don't spend so much time on those proposals, making them pretty. It's more like quantity. Get that quantity out there, but get on quality calls with them. Do have quality conversations about the goals and what they're wanting to achieve. Take those notes, add it to the quote. Make sure to always reiterate, this is what we're here to achieve together. That's my tips. Hope that helps you guys close some more deals and partner with some people that you're happy to partner with.